Hey, how you doing, everybody? Welcome to RPG Horror Stories. Just a reminder, when we get to 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel, I'm gonna read the Old Man Henderson story and all of its glory. Now, I have a couple of strong posts for you today. One of them is indeed not safe for work, but the first one is fairly innocuous. Prospective storyteller tells me that there are too many lesbian characters in his game. Then defends his assumptions that I wasn't a lesbian when he tries to imply that I am trying to objectify lesbians. Content warning. An excessive amount of the word lesbian is being used. You've been warned. So, the RPG part of RPG Horror Stories isn't gonna happen. But it is still a horror story, and it's happening right now. I currently have 11 DMs from the person waiting in my inbox that I'm honestly kind of afraid to open. Hopefully, typing this out is going to help me make sense of what the fuck is going on. So I'm currently playing a Vampire the Masquerade game with this person. Having a blast, honestly. He's said some slightly weird, tone-deaf things in the past, but nothing that really blared alarms and sirens as anything other than, oh, this person is probably not a part of an inclusive community and is probably still learning how to be inclusive, but he seems well-intentioned. Overall, I leave the sessions feeling great, and I felt comfortable speaking to this person and the other players outside of the sessions. Honestly, that's all I could ask for, but I'm not sure if that's going to be true now. So, this person dropped a message in the server that he will be running a Mage the Ascension game, and anyone who is interested in playing should DM him a character concept. I'm excited, so I do. I wanted to play a mage who writes and creates songs and music videos about lesbianism and infuses her art with her magic. It's not terribly deep, complex, or original, but Becky's So Hot just dropped a week ago, and I enjoy my sapphic YouTube content because songs about girls loving girls just wasn't what it is now when I was discovering my sexuality. We adult lesbians had only I Kissed a Girl to cling onto, and I deeply admire them both as art I consume and enjoy, and as progress that gives power of voice to people like me. I was going to have her awaken as a mage by discovering the power she imbues into her creations by putting her emotions into them. Any emotion, be they about her sexuality or any other part of her life and her experiences. I am not a stranger to code switching or testing the waters with unfamiliar people to assess if it's safe to go all out in my rainbow glory. But for context, the VTM game we were in was full of sex and sexuality, with all the NPCs being considered pansexual until proven otherwise. We were all encouraged to be our full, sexy vampire selves, and it was a safe space, free of racism, homophobia, sexism, etc. So I thought that we as players were on the same page with that. No, I know, sorry, but this one's actually a little bit different. As much as I say not to have like romance in your D&D sessions and stuff, Vampire the Masquerade is actually an extremely sex-positive setting. It's a pretty decent place for if you're gonna run like anything sexual or romantic. It can be really fulfilling and erotic without being weird. Because listen, who the fuck doesn't imagine sexy vampires? Everyone does. Everyone thinks of fucking Twilight when they think of vampires and werewolves. Guess what? It's not much different with VTM. Most vampires in VTM are fucking sexy. Even the fan art for the quote-unquote ugly ones. God damn, they're bangable. So, there's nothing wrong with that here. Though we are leading into a section where things get a little bit out of hand. I dropped the bare bones snappy character concept to prospective mage storyteller, hereafter known as ST, singer-songwriter who writes and creates lesbian music and music videos. Fully prepared to use that as a jumping off point to get into her character and what motivates her and start figuring out how she would fit into the story that ST had in mind. Only to get the response of, let me tell it to you straight. I've had too many lesbians in my games. What? First of all, fun, but second, what? Is there some sort of token quota that has already been filled with lesbian characters? Why, by that logic, do I never hear too many straights in my games? I'm thrown off kilter and trying to diffuse the situation as I figure out how to respond. I point out the pun with an intended to be non-threatening LOL. But that doesn't pass the assault on my brain cells. He goes on to say that a lot of players want to play lesbian characters, and in his experience, they all do it badly. And then he proceeds to tell me, a real lesbian, that lesbian characters tend to objectify actual lesbians. I tell him that I am a lesbian, so why would I objectify myself? The exact details of the ensuing exchange elude me, mostly because my brain is trying to protect me from what is currently making my hands shake. But ST reiterates that his point stands, that lesbian characters stand to objectify lesbians per his experiences. He tells me his adoptive mother is a lesbian. I still don't understand how this is relevant. I have black friends, but my views and actions make me not racist. He details his experiences to me, which, okay, but I am a lesbian who doesn't want to objectify herself or other lesbians. And why do I, a lesbian who acts as myself on a daily basis, need to know the details of other people playing lesbians so badly? He said that he didn't know that I was a lesbian. It never came up. I told him that he didn't know before if I was straight either. He said that 90% of the population are. My hands start shaking. At this point, I'm still hoping that I could still salvage this acquaintance. I share my feelings with him, that I was hurt that he made assumptions about my sexuality that weren't true, based on his own biases and prejudices. I share with him that I've experienced being told that I wasn't a lesbian because I was this and that, and that I don't like that I'm barred from putting a part of myself as well as something that I like and admire, lesbian music and lesbian artists, into my character. He tells me that he's not here to handhold me and that I'm calling him a homophobic bigot. I've never accused him of that. I did say that he made assumptions of me based on his own biases and prejudices, but we all have those, and those are informed by the differences in how we live relative to one another. I told him I never called him a homophobic bigot, whether or not someone once called him one. He tells me that I just as well said he was a homophobic bigot, and that I'm being reactionary and defensive because of my past experiences. I say, it seems to me that he's being reactionary and defensive himself, right now. And now I have 11 DMs sitting in my mailbox. Yeah, I'm gonna have to side with OP here, although I'm a little bit more, antagonized by this because it seems like the DM made a pro-LGBTQ storyline that's not actually pro-LGBTQ. Oh man, there's too many gays in my campaign. You know what that is? Because you're the one that said that all of your NPCs are pansexual until proven otherwise. It's queer baiting. And that's how you piss off a lot of people. So, I would suggest not playing with this fucker. Just don't fucking play. Stop. At least you've got people at the table who might be able to hold your back or something. But dude, stop. Don't touch this. It ain't worth it. DM finds out about my fetish, repeatedly throws my character into suggestive situations, then leaves when confronted. This is gonna be a weird one, so hang tight. The story is not safe for work. I'm into wet look. It's a mild fetish which basically makes me turned on when I'm swimming or bathing with my clothes on. It's harmless, and I mostly keep it to myself, but for the past few months, I've also been writing ridiculous, over-the-top erotic stories about it online. Initially, I did it just for fun. But eventually people started offering money for customs, so I turned it into a side hustle. And it's been pretty lucrative so far. Recently, my Dungeons & Dragons group started a new campaign, and our DM told us to send him our backstories for a review, and I accidentally sent him one of the erotic stories I had written. I deleted the message praying he didn't have the time to download it. Then I sent him the correct file, and he just responded with the thumbs up. I thought I was out of the woods. Then came the first session. I was the only girl in the group. The rest were guys. With the exception of the host's wife, who didn't play but stayed to watch, I was playing a human sorcerer and had her wear some fancy robes she had stolen from a noblewoman at some point. It was a desert campaign, and the first encounter involved an oasis. After we defeated a band of mind-old jack-o'-wares there, the DM states I felt some kind of power centered on the oasis. I ask if there is a way to get to the center of the oasis without swimming, and the DM says there were some rocks sticking out of the water, which I could traverse. I ask how many rocks there are, and the DM says 10. I decide to jump from rock to rock in an attempt to get to the source. The DM has me make a dexterity check. For every God-forsaken rock, I succeed the first 3 and then fail the 4th. As I fall into the oasis water, the DM describes how my robes become wet, change color, and become heavy, then asks me if I want to stay in the water or try to get out. It felt kind of off, but I brush it off and just say I swim over to the source. We discover the source of the power is some sort of portal, and at some point we go through and find ourselves in some manner of underground temple. Fast forward a few minutes, and there is a pool of water between us and another door, with a narrow rope bridge leading across. We decide to traverse the bridge, one by one, with me last. And guess what? The fucking bridge breaks. I end up in the pool. As I clamber out to the other side and walk towards the rest of the party, the DM proceeds to swiftly describe in vivid detail how my dripping wet clothes wrap around me, squeaking as I walk, and so on. At this point, I am uncomfortable, and I ask him to stop because it's kind of weird. The other guys agree. He frowns, but admits he's gone too far. Next week, we have another session. We're still in the temple, and we're facing some water elementals, because of course we are. Their attacks target me more often than I would like, and the DM again makes remarks on how wet I am. At this point, I'm about to speak up when the host's wife tells the DM to stop because I'm visibly uncomfortable. The dude throws a fit, picks up his stuff, and leaves. I'm still not sure why he did it. It's statistically unlikely that we share the same kink, so I just think this was some poor attempt to seduce me. Whatever the case, we never played with him again. Now, we know for a fact that they had a session 0 because of the message that she had before this, where she said that it was an accident before the campaign, that she had accidentally sent her fanfiction instead of her backstory. What this DM is doing here is actively taking advantage of his place of power and kind of teasing her for it, and he's going a bit too far in my opinion. Which is why, no matter how much you've had a session 0, having a friend at the table that's on your side is going to be worth it. I mean, this dude's wife isn't even, you know, she's not like actually playing, but she still shut him the fuck down when he started with his bullshit. Thank God that you had somebody there to stop him, because who knows how far he would go. I would recommend making sure that he knows not to fucking do that, no matter how blunt or brutally honest you have to be. It's something that has to be done. Otherwise, he's going to keep running no matter how much his wife tries to stop him, as we know from these horror stories. That said, much love and stay sexy. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, you've got big dick energy, baby. I'll see you guys in the next one.